Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2Mnet podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling. You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Hello and welcome to Video Games to the Max, another episode here for you, and it's episode 228, and I'm your host, Sean Garmer. Here with me, as always, Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
And, well, just another day in this world that keeps ever changing, as just reminding everyone that this is the official video games podcast, W2Net.com, and of course we're in partnership with Last Word on Live. And if you have heard us before, this is the first time, welcome. And of course you can always hit subscribe there to get the podcast whenever it comes out, twice a week now. And yeah, just if you like what you hear by the end, you can also go review on your favorite podcast app of choice. We're on pretty much everything that's out there, unless we're not, and then you can let us know. But pretty much Apple has some kind of aggregate at this point that people use it, and it gets you on there. But yeah, so you made a trip to Ohio.
Yeah. I think last Monday.
Yeah.
I bought a whole bunch of stupid DVDs and Blu-rays.
So what is stupid DVDs and Blu-rays to you? Just
I spent like $100, maybe actually probably more. The big thing I finally got, because what he suggested I watch it, was The West Wing for like $50, which is not bad. Like another store had it for $100 or for $75.
I mean, it was a long series. So.
Yeah, it's like the big like blue, the big box set, all 7 seasons in this like big blue set.
Yeah.
I bought Blu-rays of Stripes, No Country for Old Men, Star Trek Into Darkness, the second one, Adjustment Bureau, and Gladiator for between $2 and $5. And then I bought steelbooks of Fight Club, Valerian, Hellboy 2, War for the Planet of the Apes. That's the third one, I think.
Right.
Train to Busan, and Universal classic monster movies Frankenstein and Dracula and all that stuff.
Right, all those.
Yeah. And I'm going to go down there again next week to buy a copy of Castlevania Aria of Sorrow if it's still on sale. The good Game Boy one.
Yeah, I like those Castlevania Game Boy games.
They were all good, but I think Aria... I think I have the first one. But a lot of people say that one's too dark, visually. I think Aria of Sorrow is the third one, and that's the one that people say is probably the best one.
Yeah.
And it's $35, which is not a bad price.
Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, you bought a lot there.
Yeah.
I guess now you just have time to watch it.
Believe me, I have tons of that. So I'm rewatching Star Trek Deep Space Nine for the 80th time.
Well, your state's still kind of locked down, right? So
yeah, until at least the 28th or 29th. So.
Yeah, everything starts reopening on Monday here. So, well, not completely, but, the partial reopening. And things should be kind of okay as long as nobody gets out of I'm not saying this lightly, but as long as nobody gets out of that jail that's in the city where I'm in, we're good, because we have a jail here that has I think 100 cases in that one jail now, and it's not getting any better for those people in there. I feel bad for them. Yeah, it's the big problem, I guess, that they've had in so many other states at this point. So
yeah.
But yeah, well, we're doing this during the day, so sorry we're coming out a bit later on Saturday than we normally would be at this point. I got off kind of late yesterday, and then we got pizza, and I didn't want to have to pay the extra for delivery, so we kind of had to sit outside the Domino's until they were, it was ready.
We have a Little Caesars by me. It's like a mile down the road, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, the Domino's isn't that far. It's just like I didn't want to have to get back in the car later to go pick it up, whatever. So it's just like I'll just wait here. Not that bad, but it was good. And then I got full, and I was just like, let's just do this tomorrow during the day. So yeah, this has been a week of every day. It felt like something was getting revealed or announced or anything. So it started with something. It was funny because it's like that first time that Summer Game Fest is actually like using Jeff Keighley's using Summer Game Fest anything logos and everything to announce this on their Twitter feed to eventually announce that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 were remastered, were coming and September 4th to PC, Xbox One, and PS4. And they later announced the soundtracks a couple of days later, and they got a lot of the songs.
Yeah, I think it's missing like 5 songs from both games. I think it's like 2 from the first Tony Hawk and like 3 from the second one. But like the songs,
it's actually 8 from the first game and 4 from the second game. But
I think might have been updated. But I mean,
to me, I think the only one that's like big. I mean, I don't really know a lot of these other bands that are missing, but the only big one is Bring the Noise, the Anthrax and Chuck D song. But they got a lot of the.
They should take a lesson. They should take a lesson from Guitar Hero and just make a cover of it.
Yeah, I think that was. Well, I guess they could, right? But for the most part, they got a lot of the other big ones. So, if you were one of the things that were missing when I guess they were ports, right? When they brought them to like 360.
No, those were HD remaster. I mean, they literally called it Tony Hawk HD. Like it was built from the ground up.
Those were HD remasters too, but that was like a big thing that was missing, is the soundtrack didn't feel the same.
I think it had like at least half the original songs. I mean, it has like the big 3. Superman from Goldfinger, I think that's the band name. The Bad Religion song, and then the Millen Collins song. So that's cool. Although I think the Bad Religion song is like the radio edit version. Did you watch that trailer, or what did you think of that thing?
I mean, I've never been a big Tony Hawk person. I played, it a bit when, they were coming out. Because, kind of everybody did. But
I was, like, I followed that series most of the way through. I didn't play a few of them. I didn't play Tony Hawk 4 or, like, Proving Ground or, like, some of the, I played Project 8, but it, like, past, like, Thug 2, I kind of stopped. I mean, that trailer looked fine, but I'm not a huge fan of, like, the early Tony Hawk run-based games, where it's like, hey, you gotta complete everything in 2 minutes. No. I don't like doing that.
Well, you think it's like totally that they didn't add any kind of adjustments so you can play kind of how you want, or?
I mean, I'm sure it'll have a free skate option, because I mean, I don't think any of the trailers footage had a timer on it. But I mean, like, as far as like progression in those games, or like at least the first like 3 games, it was always like you have to complete these 5 goals in 2 minutes, and at least like 2 of them are really annoying because it's like you got to combo and do get the combo letters in one combo and then collect all the skate letters. Also, if that game doesn't have Bam Margera in it, that'll be a disappointment to me personally.
Yeah, so it is. So they started with that with like the original like Neversoft code, and then Vicarious Visions, who's the team working on it, is they kind of modernized it a bit. There's going to be like some new moves that weren't around then, I guess, skating wise.
Yeah, the big one is the revert, because was added in 3, and that's what the trick. Kind of ties it all together.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going to have the missions that like you're used to, like collecting the skate letters, secret tapes, all that stuff. So you can look forward to that. That Creative Park is coming back too. They can create a skater. So if you don't want to use one of the, the original skaters, you can.
I mean,
bring that
I don't know about you. I would just kind of play as Tony Hawk.
Yeah, I played with Bam some as well because he was big.
Yeah.
During that time.
I
But
always played as Tony Hawk because I think he had like the best air stat.
mm-hmm.
And like those early games was all about like getting big air.
Yeah, I mean, seeing pictures, obviously, you're looking at PS1 games, so like anything today wise would look way better than a PS1 game. But it's cool that they kind of like scan material from the skaters.
Yeah.
And then they had those skaters come back and get scanned like now, so that you'd have like an updated look for them, which is pretty cool.
It's gonna be real depressing in Tony Hawk's point for character model.
Well, yeah, it's
like you bail once and he's like, oh, I broke a hip.
It's like, oh no, we super infused him with the young Tony Hawk body type. Just he's got the older mind, I guess, so he's smarter at this point.
I think there was like some collector's edition like sold out like damn near instantly. That came with like a skate deck or something.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Of course. So people that have always loved those games, they're gonna buy that quick. So.
I mean, I think the last good one was, I want to say, Project 8. That was like 2007, 2008 maybe.
All right, and then 5 came out and it was awful. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had those like 3 Robomoto games. Shred, Ride, and, Tony Hawk HD collection. And then you had Tony Hawk 5, and it's like, oh man. I mean, this looks better than that, obviously, but anything would, really.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but when you're comparing it to a, like, just really bad game, like you said, it's just doing what they're doing here is a much better way to go about it. And Tony Hawk was so excited he texted everybody before the reveal because he wanted to. Yeah, I guess people that were, did they kind of like help fund it or?
I don't know, it might have just been his friends or something.
Yeah, his friends. Like, yeah, he was just he let everybody know, and there was already kind of a leak before as the thing was counting down. I was like, well, okay. They kept it in for a little bit. So, and there were a lot of people complaining about, oh, that's it. Like, that's all we're getting. And it's like, I think people need to kind of lower their expectations. You're not going to get a huge ass reveal every time for one of these things. Like, it's just.
I mean, hell, it showed more gameplay footage than Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah. No, I mean, of course. but
I mean, it's not going to have every, like, Tony Hawk level. I mean, hell, back in the day, those games came out as full-priced games. Like, you're getting 2 of them for $50 or $60, and it looks good. So
no, exactly. You're getting 2 remade games for $60. I mean, and again, like, you can't. Obviously, we're covering this as talking about it for a podcast or whatever. But you as a person aren't going to be into every gameplay style, every game. So if it didn't make a big deal for you, then hey, there'll be one later down the line. That's what happens when it's one game and not a whole, like with the Inside Xbox, as much as, people ragged on it, at least there was different types of games there. There might have been something for you, or just maybe none of those things appealed to you. Like Randy said, there was nothing there that appealed to him. But yeah, so you had that on, it was Monday, right? So Tuesday came, Epic, so that they had something to show off, and it was a tech demo for Unreal 5. And that looked pretty amazing. This is coming in 2021, so it's not like, you're not going to see games coming out probably even in the next couple of years that can reach this graphical level. Yeah. But it was really nice to finally kind of see, okay, this is what next gen could look like. This is what it could do. What did you take out of that, or did you enjoy it at all?
It didn't have the traditional Unreal Engine texture pop-in, so that was nice, I guess.
Wow. That was kind of part of the point.
Yeah. I mean, it looks fine, but it looks like one of those, like, 3D Mark demos. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you still had some of the, like, she went into a corridor so you wouldn't see the loading.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But it looked amazing, and I was kind of excited to see, man, when games can finally get like this, this is pretty awesome. So I'm glad that we finally got to see, I guess, something you could say, oh, this is next gen. It's not like you're not going to be able to play it and it was running on a PS5, which I think that was the biggest part, is that, obviously, like Sony and Epic have like a deal, like a development deal. So, but they did mention that, the PS5's SSD helps a lot of being able to run this. It can run on the Xbox Series X, but they'd have to kind of tone it down because the SSD isn't as good.
Yeah.
I think that's the cool thing, is they're getting to show you a little bit of what the industry could do. Will a lot of companies be able to get their games to run like that? Because that also costs a lot of money. We'll have to see. But yeah, I kind of did want to explore a little bit of that world by the time they were done with it. Like, hey, maybe we can play a Lumen in the Land of Nanite game at some point.
Right.
I don't know. Did you? I mean, I guess it kind of looked like, Uncharted or Tomb Raider or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tomb Raider's the obvious one to me. It was like, yep.
Yeah.
I know it. The new Tomb Raider engine, Tomb Raider game was gonna look like, I guess.
Yeah, all the sand and the desert and then going through caves and stuff. That was kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. Lara Croft will look even better going through all this in, I guess, 2022 or something.
Yeah.
And then also, Sony had a state of play that was all Ghost of Tsushima. Sorry, that's one of the things we learned. It's not Tsushima, it's Tsushima. And after they had kind of already announced that they're rebranding all their studios into PlayStation Studios, which is using the like Marvel kind of opening look. And, Xbox also did this as well. It's not a big deal, but, at least they all kind of have a brand now to be under. But, yeah, I mean, did you watch the Ghost gameplay?
I saw parts of it, and they're like, oh, it's going to be, there's a black and white filter, and you can set the game to Japanese. It's like, okay, I guess.
Well, you saw the end part, though. Like,
yeah. I mean, it looked good. I'm not sure if it'll be quite for me, but...
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. I really enjoy. I mean, I know you don't care about the customization, but I did like you can collect various dye flowers throughout the world.
That's fine. Honestly, that's fine. Like, I don't mind that necessarily.
Yeah. I found it interesting that like you're collecting things throughout the world that changes the color and then changes your customization, and that like your gear, what you wear, has different attributes, and obviously depends on your play style. If you want to play as Ghost, ninja style, or if you want to play a samurai Jin.
Yeah.
So,
to me, it still looks like a better version of like Tenchu Stealth Assassin.
Yeah, the ninja part, when they were going through the Ghost part, I was like, okay, yeah, this definitely gives me like Tenchu vibes. Just kind of crouching around. I mean, I love the assassinations are cool. It's just you can press a button and then it jumps down and assassinates them in like various ways. One of them was like you could hear the bone crunching as he like puts the dagger through his neck and just pulls it back out. It's like, ouch. I think I like too that he didn't just. He had to keep using that style too when you got up to like the bigger samurais. Like he had to find a way to either use a kunai or use a smoke bomb or something like that. It wasn't just, okay, well now I can just turn into this badass guy that can use a sword all of a sudden. Like, so you really do have to decide how you want to play. I don't know if that was like, they made it seem like there was a quick time event with when the samurai was out.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what the L2 and R2 thing at the bottom really meant, but I think what I liked the most was how you can explore the world with, you can show the map and it kind of shows you things or whatever, but you can also kind of use like the wind and like birds and foxes can show you how to get to certain hidden areas.
Right.
Which that's cool, instead of like, oh, here's this map and you got to follow this point and whatever. It makes you feel like you're more in the world, I guess, like Breath of the Wild.
Right.
So, and why do you say it's not for you?
I mean, it didn't look quite as Souls-like as like Sekiro or Neo, but it looked similar to that. Like it didn't look quite as like regimented, but it still looked, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested to see is how much did they borrow from that, or did they borrow from that at all, or does it kind of feel that way? Maybe only the like big duels are that way, and then a lot of the other stuff is not.
Well, I mean, like that Star Wars game was a lot like that. I think that was like a really good, line between the two. Between like an action game and like a RPG or Souls-like game.
Yeah, I think you do have. I mean, it's not. You are gonna have to, I guess, like know combos or kind of have your time to strike, time to parry, right? It tells you that right there in the gameplay you're watching.
Yeah.
So, that doesn't bother me. Like if you want to make the big battles feel like they're big and you have to know what you're doing, that's fine. That's part of a game. But if the other combat stuff is not as rigorous, then
right.
It gives you time to adapt and you can learn the other stuff. So I'm interested.
The big question is, where's Tom Cruise?
Not. Yeah. I'm sure there's some people wondering, but hey, you can play it in English at least, right? So
yeah,
I might play that one in Japanese though. They made a big deal about that, but it does help it feel kind of authentic. So that's cool. I love I wouldn't use it too much, but I did like that you had the option of putting that black and white like grain on there too.
I mean, yeah, but you can do it with any game if you screw with the color, the color.
But I like that you can like kind of toggle it on and off, so you can have it for the big fights if you want, and then just kind of because that world is like pretty to look at. So
yeah,
I just want to see how the full game is. How many side quests are we talking about? It just kind of just being there, and I did like that it like shows you the map shows you different things, how to get to certain things. Without having to just it constantly be there and remind you. That was nice too. So
yeah,
lots to look forward to with this game. We'll see when it comes out in 2 months now.
Yep.
And a month away from Last of Us Part 2 at this point. So yeah, and
the last big two PS4 games really.
Yep, the last two big PS4 games all coming out within 2 months from now, and. Hey, if we're already talking about this quarter being the largest for video game sales in U.S. history, let's see if that continues throughout as things keep changing. Obviously, people having to go with video games as a source of entertainment because they couldn't get out of their house probably helps, but will be interesting to see if people end up, like, maybe people that weren't so much big gamers, maybe kind of keep their eye on things a little bit more and check out maybe more games coming, like Last of Us, like Ghost. And that helps their sales too. So, yeah, interesting. And speaking of remakes, we got another we learned about the Mafia Trilogy getting remastered, and the first one is a complete remake, apparently.
Well, that first one's like an original Xbox and like PS2 game.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the one to do. Like, Mafia 2 was, I think, a early 360 game, maybe?
Yeah.
And then Mafia 3 was the more recent one.
Yeah, because the first Mafia was from 2002.
Yeah.
And then Mafia 2, which is actually coming, I think, on Tuesday, is from 2010. So
yeah. And then Mafia 3 was like 2015 or something, or, around there.
Yeah, around there. So,
yeah, 2016 actually, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know you played it.
No, I never played any of those.
You never played them? Okay.
I think I played a little 2, but I didn't maybe like just an hour or something. I know 3 is like the one that it actually had like a good story. Like the only thing I remember, I played like a little more of 2, maybe like a few hours. I remember the game world was like super empty, and it's like, why is this an open world when there's like nothing to do?
Yeah, didn't they? Well, they added like DLC to 3 as well to make it longer.
Well, 3 is the one where you're like rising up in like the 60s, and like I think it's like you discover or like you're a part of like the JFK assassination or something like that. Something really weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a huge fondness for that series, but I mean, if they want to remake them or re-put them out, sure. Especially if it's going to be $60 for all 3, like, I guess.
And 20 for each one of those is not bad.
Yeah.
And
they're not like bad games. I don't think they're bad games. Like at least the second one I just thought was kind of boring personally, but I know the third one really amps it up a little or makes it like have more of a personality. Like that's the thing I remember about those first 2 games. It's like these games just have like 0 personality or like 0 character. I think the second one they were like, we got Playboys in this one. It's like, okay, like sure, I guess.
I mean, there's good story in each one of those. It's just by the time you got to 3, you kind of, like you said, here's doing open world stuff, and it just kind of feels like.
Well, I remember like 3 is like when they actually had like more of that stuff. It's like finally you populated this world with something.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably won't unless it like hits like a discount. I probably won't get it, but I mean, sure, why not? Sure, some people will. They could make it. I mean, they made 3 of those games, so there's obviously an audience somewhere.
Yeah, with 2K having their other big games kind of hitting Switch at the end of the month, I guess why not? Right, let's just get all of more of our big games out there to get people playing and of course making sales. So that helps. I think a lot of people are excited for the Mafia 1 remake, and then the other 2 are getting definitive editions, and that's mileage may vary by that point. So
I'm sure like 2 will probably be like beefed up a little. Like it won't be like completely remade, but it'll have like the highest assets it originally had or something like that. And like 3 is still a modern enough game. I mean, 3 came out on these consoles, so.
Yep. So that's I mean, you don't really need to do much adjustment to that. Plus, you can already get that original game pretty that 3 pretty cheap anyway.
Yeah.
If also announced just out of nowhere, and also coming out the same day as Ghost of Tsushima, is the Paper Mario, the Origami King, which people were already kind of saying, "Oh God, we have nothing announced after Xenoblade," that collection of the games or whatever that you're kind of interested in. But I mean, if we're talking about like games, those big games, those games that you're used to playing on Switch, Xenoblade was kind of that last one.
Right.
And then we'd already heard about Paper Mario coming back as part of the whole Mario's having an anniversary thing. We still haven't heard anything about the 3D remasters or anything like that, but at least we got a cool announcement of Paper Mario, the Origami King, coming out July 17th on Switch. I like the ominous opening.
It looks like Peach is like the bad guy.
Yeah. With apparently King Ollie is the main villain, and that's, I guess, what he was trying to do was freak out Mario by coming out as Peach and asking him, "Are you going to crease yourself for the betterment of the world?" And he's like, "No." And it's like, well, it doesn't matter if you say yes or no. You've made the wrong answer. And then kind of going on. Like, there's a new battle system that's like puts your enemies in like a ring. And yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how that battle system works. I'm kind of one of those that I like those early games better because they had more of the RPG mechanics, and they kind of took away a lot of that as the games went on.
Didn't that last one, the sticker one, like kind of bomb critically? Like I remember, like a lot of people didn't really like it.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like Sticker Star, so that was an issue. Like some people were worried about, oh, this kind of looks like Sticker Star 3 or whatever, and it is what it is. I just hope they don't go too much on that. Go ahead.
I just have no fondness for that series at all, like personally. Like I understand why they made it, but it's like just Make a Mario RPG 2.
Well, I mean, would they do that? It's funny to like, they have so much of this, Square does a lot for them now.
Yeah, it's like,
So,
just, partner up with Square again, or hey, just buy them off, getting Mallow and Gino back, and, at this point, I would take a Mario RPG, like, HD version. That'd be great to me.
I just wonder if like, and especially now that you've added in like RPG mechanics and that, Zelda now, there are probably some even in Metroid 4. It's weird you see how RPGs tend to do on your system, the Bravely's, the, Octopath, even the Xenoblades and all that. It's like, it's weird there's nobody out there, or not out there, I guess, but maybe it's just not internal and not a big enough internal yell and scream inside of Nintendo for people to say, hey, let's bring back Super Mario RPG, or let's make a second one of these, that they would consider buying Geno and all that, and say, okay, let's just make it in house, so we don't have to have Square involved. If Square is too busy, now with how many ever iterations they're going to have of Final Fantasy VII Remake and other games that they're doing. So yeah, it's just, I feel like it's got to be an internal push in itself for them to do that, and just maybe that's just them saying, "Hey, we wanted to put our own character on this. Here's a Mario version of that. Or here's a Mario with however we want to do it, and this is as close as you're gonna get," which is kind of sad. But I did like that Bowser apparently helps you here, and like the bombs, and at the end they have like a little Samus teaser where the Samus helmet falls on top of Mario and he makes the pew pew noises, that was funny. Good job, Nintendo. You know that people are waiting on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of want to see more before I totally get excited, but good to know that it's coming soon, not something that you have to wait, till later in the year.
Right.
Or whatever. And, that was kind of it for the, I guess, like big game announcements. There's a little bit of controversy, I think, along with that stuff with the Inside Xbox, that right now Ubisoft is only targeting 30 FPS on Xbox Series X, because I guess they want to make sure the game runs well in 4K and all that. And of course, Microsoft has said that they want games to run at 4K 60 for Series X. So,
well, it's like that. Well, too bad.
Well, I mean, I wonder if that has to do with, because you're also having to make these games for PS4, Xbox One, they don't want to have so many different versions that they have to create. So just have it all run at 30, and then you can just up-res the actual graphics instead.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like the FPS in those games doesn't mean a whole lot to me. It's not like a racing game, like some Twitch shooter or something. Like,
there's a lot of times where you're kind of just walking around slowly, so it doesn't really matter.
Or even like the combat is most of the combat in those games is very, like, I wouldn't say combo heavy, but very, like, pattern based or repetitious.
Methodical.
So, methodical. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Like, you just hold down, R2, and then hold square X, and then keep blocking everything and counter killing everything, and that's about it.
Yeah, I think people are making too much of a big deal about this. Like, anytime there's some kind of thing that goes against, it's like people spend I felt like that entire day that there was the, Unreal 5 tech demo discussion was, well, that was just a tech demo. Like, that was just this. That wasn't really gameplay. It's like, God, can we just marvel at something for once? Can we just enjoy something and not constantly try to be tearing it down or be picking side in this stupid console war about which company, that doesn't really care about you their system runs better or whatnot? It's like, at the end of the day, it's not good for Sony to not exist. It's not good for Microsoft to not exist, or Xbox to not exist. Like, just let them be and enjoy if you're willing to pick one side, enjoy your console and leave it alone. It's like, these stupid wars every time there's something that comes out saying, I think that was also part of it. It's like, oh, well, this can't run on a Series X, so that means that PlayStation 5 is better. It's like, who cares? Buy whatever the hell you want. It's like,
yeah.
But something that did kind of deserve its ridicule and critique was Anthem when it came out. And so they've spent, earlier this year, Anthem talked about how they wanted to basically rework and redo Anthem to give it another life, to try to see if it can have even maybe a cult following like Fallout 76 or something. I don't know that you're talking about like Final Fantasy 14 levels of people loving it or even Destiny. I think Anthem never got to that point where it had these. I think also I think the thing people tend to like not think about when you say, oh, well, now Final Fantasy 14 is our target is just like WoW with, bringing back WoW Classic and all that. It's like, this is also goes into the fandom of Final Fantasy itself. It goes into the fandom of Warcraft itself, of people like loving those franchises so much that they want to see it succeed no matter what. Whereas,
it's more like, Final Fantasy or Warcraft, they have a historical cachet, or they have, fans. And like, Anthem was coming off Mass Effect Andromeda, which no one liked. It was coming off Dragon Age Inquisition, which it had its fans, but it wasn't like the most popular game ever. Yeah. And it was coming off Mass Effect 3, which, again, it's a fine game, but it didn't knock everyone's
the ending soured a lot of people.
Yeah, so, like, it's coming off of, like, it's diminishing, it's a weird decline of Bioware. It's like a somewhat good game, a somewhat, like, lesser good game, and then a straight up bad game. And it's like, people were kind of hoping that Anthem would, like, reverse fortunes. And it's like, if anything, it spiraled down even further.
Yeah. So, I get what they're doing is try to do something they're trying to make something out of all that time they spent making this game, but it's apparently a small team right now. It's only like 30 developers are working on this. Obviously, the work from home thing hurts here because you can't it's not as easy to like all of a sudden allocate another 10 people or whatever to working on this like you could if you're all kind of in the same office or the same like workspace and go, okay, well, hey, we're really starting to go after what they're trying to do here with Anthem. Let's put another studio on this or whatever. So, we'll see how this goes. It's going to take some time. I'll be surprised if we hear any more about it, like substantial, until next year.
The only thing I expect to hear is that Anthem thing got canceled.
Really? You think it'll just get to that point?
Yeah. Because, like, I think Square, like, the obvious one is Final Fantasy 14. It's like, Square needed to fix that because, you're pissing off a lot of Final Fantasy fans. And it's like, they saw it as, like, a personal embarrassment. That's why, like...
Right, after 11...
Well, that's why the people who made Final Fantasy 14, like, the original Final Fantasy 14, like, left the company or committed suicide or whatever. Like, EA releasing a shitty game, it's like, whatever. Like...
Well, no, it hurt those developers a lot. You saw them get on constantly and say that they didn't deserve this treatment that they were getting from people and all that stuff. And it's understandable people are upset because they bought into something they thought was going to be good, and then, it turned out not to be, based on demos and based on other things. And, a lot of it also, EA itself kind of staggering releases and just kind of felt like rushing the game out as well and kind of saying, okay, we'll fix this later.
But that's that's been EA's, modus operandi for years. Like, they get it out and is barely finished or, half finished, and then we'll fix it. And then sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't.
Right. Yeah, Anthem isn't the only game that's gone through this with EA, but Destiny kind of had the same issues when it first came out as well. And it wasn't until much later.
Well, I think at least Destiny, like, the two things stand up for Destiny is like, one, I think the gameplay, just the basic gameplay loop was satisfying enough.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But also, I think Bungie was heavily committed into like Destiny. Like that's their game, or Activision was paying for it at the time, but it's like that's the only game they got going, so they have to make it work, or they have to make it good. Like BioWare, there's rumors about like the Dragon Age game that they're messing around with, or their fourth one, or like maybe them finally porting like Mass Effect,
Yeah, the Mass Effect Remaster might finally be coming.
Yeah. I mean, they have other games. I just see this as like a failed experiment that, like, it'll be like Poochie, let's forget about it completely in like a year or two.
We'll see, because I feel like there was a lot of people at BioWare. I wonder if this is more of an EA thing. Let's try to get this.
I think BioWare, they want to fix it, but EA is holding the purse strings, and it's like they're one of the most ruthless companies in the world. So it's like I wouldn't expect them to have a mea culpa and go, hey, we'll give you just $50 million to fix it. They'll be like, we're just going to forget about this and move on.
Yeah, like that is the thing, is how long will they give BioWare to work on this before they cut the cord? Because that's like, I mean, the thing is with, you've seen it when a company commits, like Ubisoft. You turn out Six Siege and For Honor, which they weren't as well received. I mean, I guess, I don't know if you say Division went through the same thing, but they worked on it, and then they, especially Six Siege is still one of the biggest games out there. That's a service game.
Division just made a sequel. That helped them quite a bit. But I mean, like, or even like, I still don't think it's a good game, or, it has, I haven't played it, but I just, Scuttlebutt is like that Rainbow Six Ghost game, Ghostlands.
Breakpoint.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's still a good game, but I mean, they've kept at it. And it's like, I guess I applaud you for that, but I think the difference is like, they also, like, they like Ubisoft in particular seems to actually care about their customers for providing like a good gameplay experience. And they also are willing to delay games or, EA is not.
Yeah, like we've seen, right? We're still talking about games that we talk about Wild and Beyond Good and Evil 2 that we haven't seen much of.
Or even, I mean, my example would have been like Watch Dogs Legion. But it's like,
Well, no, I think their thing is too, right? Like they understand if we fix these games and people get into them, this is just income that we now have that we're generating, that people are playing, people are staying in our ecosystem, they're enjoying our games, and then we can use that to continue to fund the bigger games and all that stuff, which, I mean, EA now has that with Apex Legends, thanks to Respawn. So I wonder if Apex can continue to do what it does. Obviously, you're not having to pay for Apex, which helps a lot. How much of a leash do they give BioWare before they tell them, okay, just start working on everybody work on Dragon Age, we're done with this.
Yeah.
I
guess Fred Willard just passed away.
No.
Yeah. According to Rolling Stone at least.
From COVID or from?
No, I mean, he was 86. I mean, probably just old, natural causes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, we had Little Richard pass as well recently, and we've been having a lot of the older like musicians and artists kind of pass recently as well. So,
Oh, well, speaking of that, I mean, I didn't put this in the doc. There's a game called Darwin Project.
Yeah, I got stopped. They stopped making it.
Yeah, it came out like 4 months ago, like the official release.
No, it's been out in early access.
Oh, I know that, but I mean, like their official like launch date was like January, and after 4 months, they're kind of tossing in the towel, and it's like, wow, that's rough.
I mean, that was that game that they came out at E3, and they made the big deal with the YouTubers playing it and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
it was free to play, and then it's like went absolutely nowhere.
Yep.
And, okay. That seems that was surprising because I remember that coming out and then like no one talking about it. And
most free to play games.
Well, I mean, Valorant's kind of there right now. I don't feel like Valorant's making as big a splash as like Apex did last year. There are people playing it, obviously, especially right now with what's going on. And I mean, it's there in those circles, right? The streaming circles and everything. But I don't know. I felt like Apex was like this thing that dominated for a while until it kind of calmed down. And I know it's breaking like Fortnite records and everything like that. But but yeah, like so Valorant's there, and you're just constantly finding. Didn't the culling now made a comeback as well with a weird pay system where you can play
it was like
3 games for 99 cents? Or
well, it was like you play one match for free, like one match per day, and then if you want to play more, you have to pay.
Yeah,
and it's like what?
Like Fortnite's right there for free. I mean, why would you charge people to play something? But
or I mean, it costs money obviously, but like Overwatch, like you can get Overwatch. I got about Overwatch for like $5. I mean, at least the PC version. And it's like, if you want to play that game, you can play it forever. But imagine if you can play one Overwatch match a day, and that's if you want to play more, pony up $1. I mean, I guess it's like the old arcade model, but
right, yeah, I don't know. I feel like best of luck to them, but I don't know.
Hasn't that culling been to like one or two like near fatal?
I thought that last time it was like near fatal, and they kind of went away and kept working on it, and then all of a sudden, here we are again. But then you come out with this model of like, okay, you play for free one time, and then now I got to start paying, and it's like, I guess this is just another type of microtransaction, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean that world is it changes all the time now.
Yeah. I always think about that Evolve game that came out in like 2015, the 4-on-1 monster game. Like,
I still don't know why those games still come out. It's like, other than Dead by Daylight, I feel like...
I think it was... I think you offered me... Didn't you offer me like that Predator game?
I asked if you were interested.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. And it's like, I said no. I mean, first of all, I'm not a huge Predator fan. But it's like the company making it, Ilphonic, it's like they made Nexuiz, which doesn't exist anymore. And then they made that Friday the 13th game, which also doesn't exist anymore. I mean...
Well, that was more of the people that have the license to to Jason kind of kiboshed
like lost the rights or something. But it's like, their games are just very middling, to say the least. So it's like...
It was weird, because that game came out, and there was a lot of backlash against it, and then all of a sudden it just got this like cult following, and people that like loved it, because apparently if you play with a bunch of friends, it's great, but if you're just playing with randoms, it's not.
Didn't you say like Stephanie got into it for a while, or is that
Yeah, Stephanie got into it, even Robert got into it a lot. Well, she got people into playing it with her, and it's like... Okay, I can see the appeal, but it's just like that Evolve game of like, this eventually runs its course, and it's the same thing with like isn't Resident Evil Resistance like this?
I've no idea.
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know why these games keep coming out, but okay,
Always blame Left 4 Dead.
I guess, but it doesn't. There's so many other ways to like try to match that style,
Yeah.
And not do the 4 versus 1 thing, but yeah. So, also, Jay Allard is gonna work at Intellivision, who's spent 20 years at Microsoft, and he was involved from everything from launching the original console to Xbox Live Arcade, and he's going to help, I guess, make sure this comes out.
He's like the marketing director.
Yeah.
Do you have any interest in that Intellivision thing?
No, I don't. To me, it's like the Atari thing. Like, I think it's cool that this is coming, and they have like an exclusive Earthworm Jim game or whatever. But it's like, okay. I mean, props to him for wanting to have his dream, I guess.
I guess it's like, I think, unlike the Atari thing, I think this thing will actually come out.
Yeah.
But it is such a hyper specific, customer that wants it, that they will sell 4 of these things. Because it's like, kids aren't going to want it. Because kids are probably going to look at the games and just go like, this isn't Fortnite, or this isn't...
Well, kids won't know what it is.
Yeah. And I think a lot of these games are really, like simple compared to like games of today. Like, I mean, you and I remember playing Earthworm Jim as a kid, but if you gave that to your daughter, she'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" And just go back to playing Roblox or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think like adults are going to want this thing necessarily. Maybe it's like I think like it'll appeal to like a very occasional retro fans. But if you ask 10 gamers like what's Intellivision, they're gonna like, what the fuck is that? Like, did you ever play Intellivision? Let me ask you that.
No, I hadn't.
No, neither have I. So,
and was that like that's you had to hook it up to your TV, right? Or
yeah, it was like it was like a Atari or something like that.
Yeah.
I just don't think like I don't think the market is there for this thing at all. Like. I see people going like, oh, can another console come out? Can like another big console come out aside from like the PlayStation and Xbox? And it's like, no. I think this thing will bear that out entirely because it's like I'm not going to pay this. And this thing is actually you can pre-order it from GameStop for $300.
Yeah,
and it's like you guys are crazy.
I don't.
I think it will only appeal to like the YouTube retro video, guys like people like that. But like, imagine if you were a kid and your mom, like the end of this year, and you say I want a PS5, and your mom comes home with the Intellivision Amico. It's like you might have a tantrum on your hands.
Yeah, I don't get that, but it is what it is. Also, Nintendo announced their games for May for the NES and the SNES. And yeah, I mean, like, I'm a big fan of, I liked Wild Guns. So I've never played that more in an arcade than I did, on the actual system. But, if you like those kind of, so like Rygar, Wild Guns, and, whatchamacallit, Operation Logic Bomber are kind of like shooters in a way. Like, Wild Guns is you got these big enemies and you shoot at them with different characters, and kind of Rygar is a side scroller that you shoot, kind of like Contra. And
is that what Rygar? Oh, okay.
Well, that's what I remember.
I just remember about Rygar, the PS2 game.
Yeah, I think he like has that also. Like he has like different weapons, and you can kind of. It also has like platforming and stuff like that. Where like Operation Logic Bomb, it's kind of more like I guess the Metal Gear games for the NES that you like walk around shoot.
Yep.
With one character. So that's fine. And then Paneled Upon, I think that's what that's called, is kind of like as like Puzzle League or Tetris. You have the blocks and you try to make the things go in a row so you can keep getting points. So it's not huge hits, right? Like you like the joke you made, but I don't know. They have their fans.
They're still adding games to the thing, which I guess is nice.
I know, but when was the last time? February?
Yeah.
So they did say like I guess once a quarter they were going to do this. So.
Speaking of Tetris, they just released Tetris Effect for like the Oculus Quest.
Oh, nice. You gonna play it there too?
Maybe. I saw a video and like the visuals looked a little worse. Like, it's like,
yeah, I think it's just it's weird that Nintendo. I get it that like the NES Classic and the SNES Classic are out there, right? So maybe they feel like they need to fill this with like lesser known games or whatever. But I don't know. It's not the.
I was going to say, they're out there, but not anymore. Like, it's not like they kept making them.
Yeah, it's just like, look at what's come this year, aside from the ones we talked about. It's like Poppin' Twin B, Shadow the Ninja, which, okay, cool. Smash Tennis, which was, fine for its day, and Eliminator Boat Duel. It's not stuff that you go, okay, I would never play in that game. It's stuff that, man, you really had to be playing games back then.
Yeah.
Or in arcades to know what those games are. And there's a lot of games that, unless Nintendo is possibly saying we don't want to put these out there because then if we want to release, say, Final Fantasy collection on Switch of the first 6 games, they can't feel like they could do it with it being out there on the eShop as well, right? Because once you get it as part of a service, you're not going to pay for it. Or, Chrono Trigger, or I can't think of another big game at this point that, they have most of the, like, big, I guess, Nintendo franchises, the Marios and the Zeldas.
Yeah, but they don't have, they have some third-party stuff, but not a huge ton, obviously.
Right, obviously, Konami was doing their Castlevania and Contra things, so they didn't necessarily want you to be getting that stuff for free, and then you wouldn't pay for the collections, so...
I think also some stuff would be, like, hard to get.
Yeah.
I think a good game would be, like, and I actually don't think it's on there, like the Turtles in
Time, yeah.
Yeah, Turtles in Time game. And it's like, that's such a mess of a license at this point that who knows.
Yeah, I wonder if it's that. I wonder also, again, if it's like...
Or something like Smash TV. Or Super Smash TV, really. But
yeah. I just do wonder if that's something that, we're looking at and saying, these companies are going, well, you need to pay us this much for it, and Nintendo goes, we're not.
Like,
Nintendo's not about that, right? Like, Nintendo's
like, you want us to pay for it? Like, what are you guys doing with it?
Yeah, like Nintendo's not Microsoft, where they're willing to pay to have their games on this service or whatever, or how Sony strikes deals for their PS Plus stuff. It's just I think Nintendo kind of says, okay, we'll just take whatever you're willing to give. I'm not going to say that they don't go and try to get those big games, but I think they're not making they're not trying really hard either.
Yeah, it's not a huge initiative for them.
Yeah,
but I think the difference between like Nintendo and Microsoft is Nintendo has a huge backlog of their own crap, and most of their stuff is obviously better than 90% of what came in the system.
I just wonder why you don't just... I get it that you want to have this as an initiative to buy the Switch Online thing, but like I wonder if at some point Nintendo either says, we're going to do a Game Pass thing, or we're just going to do a virtual console, but this time we're going to make sure your stuff continues on. Like,
I don't think they'll ever do that one.
Because people will do it if they put these games out for sale, they'll buy it again. But I just feel like at this point,
well, I think it's a sense of fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. It's like they did this, going from the Wii to the Wii U. They should have done it, obviously, but they didn't.
Right.
But then going from the Wii U to this thing, they certainly should have done it, and they didn't.
Yes, they should.
So it's like, well, fuck you guys then. Like, you expect me to buy? Like, it's not like it's not like Steam 2 will ever be released. You're gonna have to rebuy your games in that thing. Like,
right, but like that's the thing too of just. Then why not? You see how it's doing. You don't need... Okay, so this is what I feel like we're going to eventually get with PS Now. Like, I don't think you're not going to see Sony put their first party games on there like Microsoft, but I think it will be something that they eventually evolve into where they do put third party things or older games onto, and you can play it.
I think like Sony will put like the older first party stuff on there. Like, it won't be like the date stuff Microsoft does. But, I think if they wanted, they could put, like, Horizon Zero Dawn on it, or maybe even Days Gone if they really wanted to. But, like, the old Resistance game, or, like, Infamous, or, stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I do think we'll eventually get that as a way to get people to keep going on with the service, but I feel like Nintendo's missing a big thing here of here's something that people are going to pay for, maybe even make them pay separate like Microsoft does with Game Pass, and you put your older games on there for people to play as part of a service, and you can continue to put older games on there. You already have some of this library, and this way those companies are getting compensated for it and not so much of a okay, it's on here, and we feel like you're just getting whatever, and I don't know. I feel like it's something Nintendo is missing out on that they
Nintendo still
could.
barely understands how the internet works. So,
I mean, I get it. It's kind of like Sony. Why, when your first party game's so like hotcakes, waste the time doing that? I don't know. It's just another revenue stream that they could do eventually to give these older titles life, I guess, and not have to be something that you come out every quarter and it's things like this that, yeah, this will get some people excited. It'll be something you can play for a little bit, but, you know.
I don't see anyone going like, oh, I finally got to buy a Switch. Rygar's coming to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really, I don't think you're really buying a Switch for this stuff, but if you put some of the bigger games on there, it could, or you move up to not NES, not just NES and SNES, you move up to some other systems.
Yeah.
And put those, Game Boy Advance, 64, GameCube. I don't know if they would include DS because the 3DS is still out there, but at least those.
Well, I mean, even the 3DS is not really. I mean, they may make like 1 or 2 games for it a year, but I mean, that thing is 7 years old.
Right, but people are still buying it. So I think you could put, like I said, I mean, even if they start with GBA 64 and GameCube games, I think people would be happy with that.
Yeah.
To get something different out there, something you don't have classic consoles of that people might really, and this is that, like, our age group of nostalgia, I guess. Or even a little bit younger age group of nostalgia that might be playing your Switch and go, oh man, I remember these games, and I don't know. Just a thought for Nintendo to eventually do something with this. But again, when your new stuff is selling well, you don't really need to focus so much on the old stuff. And I think that's Microsoft, it was pushed into a corner to try to do something different.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's worked out for them, the Game Pass thing. But they're also having to pay a lot of these developers and everything else to get these games on there as part of their service. And it's cool when they show up, right? But eventually they do leave, as we saw with, Rockstar replaced GTA with Red Dead Redemption 2. And
right.
So if you were really having fun playing GTA, well, I mean, yeah, now you can buy that game for kind of nothing. But still, it's just an example of those games do eventually leave. And if you kind of forgot that the games do leave that service, well, it's gone and you never played it. But yeah, so finally here, also something I thought would be kind of interesting to you because we're both Doctor Who fans, and you've been playing like that Doctor Who like VR.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring this up, the VR thing.
Was so Maze Theory was able to raise like £1.4 million to get additional funding to make a trilogy of Doctor Who VR games, so that The Edge of Time now has like a trilogy coming. So there'll be 2 projects coming that'll have the Doctor Who name on it.
And I think they're also doing like a Peaky Blinders VR thing.
Peaky Blinders, yep.
I didn't like that Doctor Who thing. Like, I think, like, well, it's like very weirdly cheap, I thought. Like, they had Jodie Whittaker doing voice, but there's no character in the game. Like, she appeared in like some like hologram thing, but you never like meet her or anything.
Right.
She's just like barking orders at you from like from like, your headphones or from like stuff like that. I think Doctor Who specifically is a game that like, or a franchise that's very hard to do a game about.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I think they did those Doctor Who adventure games like a decade ago or like around there. Those were like passable, but they weren't like good necessarily. I mean, I just find it kind of incredible. Like, it's like, all right, I guess.
Doctor Who would have to like really require somebody to really love that franchise, and you would have to build a truly epic story that allowed you to get in the TARDIS and kind of go places, and you go on this, I guess, like a story journey of going into different time periods and kind of experiencing those worlds or whatever. It's just like you said, it's something you can do over on a TV show through 10 episodes or whatever a season. And
well, I mean,
yeah.
Here's the thing: is they already did that. They already did that. A perfect Doctor Who game. It's called Chrono Trigger, and it came out in 1995. I mean, except for the world, visiting alien planets part. We can
Right, no, but part
that.
of the lore, of Doctor Who is, I mean, yes, it has its own, original alien character, but you're going and, going into Civil War times and seeing what it would have been like, and
Yeah.
meeting, actual people from those times, and
yes,
yeah.
I mean, someone should just do a ROM edit from Chrono Trigger and just have it be Jodie Whittaker or something. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, or you'd have to basically be 3 or 4 different Assassin's Creed games in one, and I think it's too big of a game.
I mean,
to do.
It's also the same problem. It's kind of the same similar problem as a Superman game. It's like this character is essentially invulnerable, and super speed and super strength and all that crap. It's like, how do you make a game about this then? Like, Batman is easy because Batman's just a dude with a grappling hook. But
yeah, and
Superman, not so much.
And he has these villains that also have their own, lore and their own attacks and things and whatever. It's Superman's just, how do you make it to where these dudes realistically have a chance?
Well, it's easy. You strap Superman in a VR environment. Where there's tons
and have
of
somebody
fog,
wearing kryptonite all the time?
Yeah, kryptonite fog is everywhere for some reason. I mean, I don't think I'll play this new Doctor Who game unless it gets super good reviews. But the first one, the Edge of Time one, I didn't like the puzzles at all, and I just didn't like it. It's a bummer.
Yeah, that is a bummer. That.
Oh, this isn't game related, but did you see they're making another new Star Trek show?
Again? Another one? Oh, no, I didn't.
It's going to be, so in Star Trek Discovery 2, they introduced, Captain Pike and Spock and Number One.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be about them. It's called, I think, Strange New Worlds.
I mean, if it's making CBS All Access some money, then...
Well, I mean, people really liked, Pike, or Anson Mount as Pike. He was actually really good in that role. Mm-hmm. Spock was, I guess, okay. I mean, He's really kind of weird in that role, but he was fine. And Number One, Rebecca Romaine said 3 things for the whole series or season. So her having dialogue will be nice. But I mean, the same guy who did those shows is still doing this one. So I was this show's also going to suck then.
Did you see the next Control expansion is going to explain what happened in Alan Wake?
Yeah, well, they just had the Alan Wake anniversary this week, I think.
Yeah, I think that's neat. They're finding a direct way to tie them into each other.
I think that even in Control, base Control, there's 1 or 2 mentions of Alan Wake. So, yeah, it is a shared universe. So,
yeah, I mean, so this expansion will explore actual events of Alan Wake. So, and you're gonna find out, stuff about the Bureau's research into what happened and everything. So it'll be. I think there's a lot of people, I think myself included, that played some of that DLC from the first, Alan Wake's DLC, and you're kind of oh, I still don't kind of understand what happened, so.
Right.
It's cool that AWE is going to explain that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's going to do it for us on the show today. So a lot was revealed in this first week, I guess, of the true Summer Game Fest, or whatnot, along with, Sony revealing their Ghost of Tsushima stuff and everything else. So, Sony kind of had a little bit of a power hour there for a few days. So we'll certainly see, what's happening, and I doubt anything's going to happen crazy over the weekend or whatnot, but maybe Monday we'll start a new week of announcements and everything as we start heading more and more into June, where things are set to happen already. So, yep.
Yeah.
Get ready for that. First couple weeks of June is going to be crazy. But all right, everyone. Like I said, if you enjoyed hear what you heard, you can hit subscribe and you'll get a show anytime we do it. We're still, that Final Fantasy 7 spoiler cast is coming. I know you hit chapter 17 already.
Yeah, I'm midway through there, and it's draining my will to live.
Well, just keep getting there. You're almost to the
keep
end.
at it.
And hopefully we'll get to do that soon with Randy and Jens. And Well, until next time, everybody. See you later.